by you elderly people out in the television audience and small to infants, perhaps. I was glancing when I walked out of the newsroom just now, coming out here at this, and perhaps all of you should put yourselves in tighten up your seat belts or put yourself in your restraint seats, because there's a lot of stories tonight about one man. There was once a great universe that was composed of many lesser universes. There was once a mighty kingdom that was made up by many smaller kingdoms, made up of. There was once a creature who contained within it more modest ones. And there was once a mind that was once and for always a mind. The way you can tell that your particular bus has arrived at its final destination is when you look out the window and you think, I had no idea it was going here. In one realm, 'tis said that a dead man is a satisfied man if he is dead in the partiality. One man fell into a vortex. He didn't fall into anything. And even if he did, it wasn't a vortex. He was pushed. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. And it was a vortex. All of the above was inoperative. I don't know why I said it. I'm so dizzy. And I don't know why you listened to it. Hey, Hubert, unplug that thing.
No.
One man had a farm, plenty of acres, lots of room to grow most anything you'd want. But the one crop he wouldn't fool with was pumpkins. One man carried around a hat full of bees. No one was harmed by it, and some who suspected were impressed by it. But still, a hat full of bees? Since he quit smoking, one guy thought of each neat idea he had as having a cigarette, with the enjoyment about as momentary. He says he'll entitle his autobiography, Look at the Size of the Universe, and I live inside something the size of a pumpkin. One man believed that more things are possible for man than actually are. Most people believe less. A boy asked his father, does it make any difference from any conceivable view what goes on inside a locked room? It's about time you got around to suspicioning that. The feeling that man must be saved from something coincided with the appearance of his thinking, which coincided with the disappearance of something else. And now, periodically, he has the sensation of a loss of such significance that he indeed feels as though he may be in danger of premature destruction from which he needs to be saved. Note, there is available for all purely human problems a direct, uncomplicated cure. The abandonment of the refusal to see what's going on in human existence, which is what is going on in the human mind. One man attempted to catch lightning bolts. Sometimes it worked. Inside of a locked room, all ideas of profit and loss are illusionary, specious, and impossible. Hey kids, let's play a game. Put your hand in your right front pocket. Now put it in your left rear. Now put them in your front left. Now in your right rear. And now back in your right front. Fun, isn't it? And not costly at all. Not at all. One man sitting at a restaurant table thought, I can look at my food or I can look at the menu. After several years of so sitting and considering, he thought, how can I stand up and get out of here? One man began to see himself as both pretty smart and pretty stupid. Pretty smart to realize as much as he did, and pretty stupid not to realize more than he did. The symmetry with which the situation balanced itself out was such that he could pass through metal detectors undetected. One man kept records, detailed, long-lasting records. They proved nothing and did him no good, but still, he kept them. Honey, stir up that fire while you're over there. As the police approached the car, the man behind the wheel said to the one beside him, act natural. To which he responded, I am acting natural. And the driver said, act more natural. Remember, folks, we only report stories here from life, from nowhere else. One man thought to himself, are there actually any important writings? Then answered himself, not if I didn't write them. And while all ideas are useless in the attempt to understand something that doesn't exist, still, there are two kinds of ideas describable. Those that others have thought of, and then those that might have some value. One man's reminder, do not, from voices in a prison take, instructions on how one can escape. One man lived part of his life in the grooves of a phonograph record. Not the groove in which he now stands, but the one that came right before it. On one world, they only report successes. Wow, I wish I lived there. Yes, that would be a triumph of sorts now, wouldn't it? One man burrowed into a hole. It was easier getting in than getting out. A boy inquired of his father, from any imaginable view, can it make any difference whatsoever what may go on inside a pumpkin? Well, it took you long enough to get around to asking about that one. Thinking cannot reach the place from which thinking springs. One man had a hand puppet he carried with him everywhere he went, but it wasn't on his hand. There is a very large barrel in which everything that exists for man is kept. Want to guess where it is? Well, I know. Want to guess? Look up, quick. Everyone who thinks is at times minimally disturbed by their thinking. But those who think about their thinking, well, they can add whole new worlds of oomph to annoyance and irritation. Someone asked a man involved in the great useless struggle, can you explain to me what it is you're after and how you're going about it? No, I can't, replied the man, but I can tell you this. It might be better to refer to me not as one involved in the great useless struggle, but rather as a man entangled in way too much thinking about the great useless struggle, be it useless or otherwise. One man lived a slam-bam, bumble-around semi-life of spills, stumbles, breaks, and mangles. A routine life of staring and sleepwalking that went about as well as everyone else's. There was once a man who lived partly in Camden and partly in Philadelphia. He didn't actually live any time in Camden, but living in Philadelphia created the illusion that he did. Son, while you're up, put that thing back together. And people told you you're wasting your time to study geography. One version says that as God was ushering Adam from the garden, he told him that he could come back at a later date under certain conditions, which were when he could quit thinking about having been thrown out. Out in the middle of the universe is this really great dance band which only plays when there are no requests. A voice cried out, "Throw away your maps." And the crowd yelled back, "But then we can't go anywhere." "All the more reason to throw them out," cried the voice. One man was a purveyor of great ideas, but could only be such when they were purveyees. And one day they finally asked, "What the hell is a purveyee?" Down the road, down the road, down the road a piece, beat me daddy, 8 to the bar. So struck was one man, we do not see, we see our sight. We do not hear, we hear our hearing. And we do not think, but rather thoughts populate our awareness, which turns out to be not awareness of things as they are, but awareness of our own awareness, which is unquestionably limited and skewed. Within a locked room, there is no incorrect way to play with or arrange toy blocks. One man thought, when it comes to self-study, there are only 2 places to look: at flesh or at the non-existent. But wait, that makes no sense. But wait, that's how it is. And thus did his little self-study move along. One man wanted to renegotiate his contract, but life pointed out that it hadn't signed one with him. One man thought, I have a lighted candle, and I can take it with me everywhere I go. And as long as I remember that it's with me, it stays lit. An explorer landed on a foreign planet and discovered creatures there faithfully and protectively carrying around empty buckets. Why eat if you're not hungry? Why imagine that you're hungry if you're not? And why try to eat if there's nothing more to be eaten? One man attempted to do 2 things at once. He thought that one of them was special. He finally realized that doing one thing at a time is what is really special. One man's favorite funk song when alone is, "The Veins Pop Out at Night." There was once a man who believed that the only way to become conscious in a totally new way was to swallow your own head. And even if you don't believe that, you've still got to agree that it worked. If you're satisfied with where you live now, never talk to anybody other than your neighbors. A man consistently deliberate doesn't have to be constantly serious. There is a particular way to hold on by letting go. Another striking distinction between ordinary, everyday people and those involved in the great secret transcendental search is that the former's thinking is a 100% waste of time, while the latter's is only maybe 99% or so. Only within the confines of a locked room can a cannibal receive adequate nourishment via self-consumption. To himself, one day, one man said, even if there is no enlightenment, at least there is the struggle therefore. Then ask himself if he was consoled thereby. One man's trying to develop this idea that pumpkins can't think. It's the sloshing around of the pumpkin juice in there that gives such an impression. One man had an obsession. It wasn't for another person, and it wasn't for a particular possession. I wonder what it was. So does he. A man who had sat alone in silence on top of a mountain, naked and without food for 40 years, finally had this to say: if there was really anywhere to go and actually anything to do, then I wouldn't have gone through all this. Either that or else I wouldn't have had to go through all this. A boy said to his father, "You know what throws me the worst? The apparent differences in things." And the old man responded, "That's easily cured. Just be different and don't see them." Inside a locked room, there is nothing to eat. Inside a locked room, all hunger is imaginary. One man believed both that he was going somewhere and that there is nowhere to go. He keeps that up and he may actually get somewhere. Thinking is never able to describe where it came from. One day, one man thought, "I am not simply one man. I am every man." And upon further reflection thought, "Nah, I'm just one man." Oh, and finally, this story, hot off the wires from Pumpkinville. One guy's motto over there is, "You should get out more." Cut it and let's go to audio.